Please welcome our moderator, Ms. Frederica Whitfield.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to join the Morehouse family virtually to moderate the 2021 Reflections of Excellence program. As a proud HBCU graduate of Howard University, also founded in 1867, it is an honor to participate in your 154th Founders Day weekend. Morehouse is an institution that has a unique place in higher education, a place that the college has carved out for itself, not by following others, but by charting its own unique path to excellence. From its origins in the basement of Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta, Georgia, to its current 66-acre campus, Morehouse has prepared young men to change the world and to be what the name of this program suggests, Reflections of Excellence. Tomorrow, the college will formally recognize this year's 6 honorees at the 33rd annual A Candle in the Dark Gala, which will also be presented virtually. But this program, a special feature of the Founders Week celebration, will allow us an opportunity to hear our honorees discuss their lives, goals, and accomplishments. Just before we hear from our honorees, let's welcome the 12th president of Morehouse College, Dr. David A. Thomas.
Thank you, Frederica. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the entire Morehouse College family, it is my honor to welcome our 2021 Benny and Candle Award recipients to our virtual Reflections of Excellence program. Morehouse is especially grateful to our Reflections of Excellence lead sponsor, Georgia Pacific, and our title sponsors, Bank of America, Merck & Company, and the Coca-Cola Company. They support this afternoon's program, highlighting our 2021 Benny and Candle honorees. Let us hear a message from our sponsors.
This is for the unbreakables, for the ones who dare to make a splash. This is for the voices of courage, who shatter ceilings made of glass.
Awesome.
This is for the ones changing the face of the game and how the game is played. This is for the ones shaking history every day. Coca-Cola honors those destined to shake things up. Here's to the history shakers.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alfredo Rivera with the Coca-Cola Company. I recently had the honor of joining the Morehouse College Board of Trustees, and I would like to welcome you to today's event. Coca-Cola has been a proud Morehouse partner for many years. Through events like today and through educational scholarships, we support the Morehouse mission to develop men to lead lives of leadership and service. And we advance our Coca-Cola purpose, which is to refresh the world and make a difference. In fact, last spring, 11 students who were the first in their families to attend college graduated from Morehouse after receiving 4-year scholarships from the Coca-Cola Foundation. We believe we have a duty to strive for greater justice and equity within our company and in our communities. And now more than ever, we remain committed to making progress through action by listening, leading, investing, and advocating. Today, we come together with all of you to listen and learn from the incredible men being honored by Morehouse. They are innovators, change agents, history shakers, and their contributions to society are tremendous. So on behalf of all of my Coca-Cola colleagues, we toast to the achievements of today's honorees, and we toast to even greater progress together. Thank you to the entire Morehouse community and friends for joining us today. Cheers.
Thank you, Trustee Rivera, for those warm remarks and continued support. And welcome to the Morehouse College Board of Trustees. I now give the program back to our moderator, Frederica Whitfield. Thank you.
Thank you, President Thomas. Now, let's move into our Reflections of Excellence program and meet our honorees. Our first honoree is Gordon L. Joyner, a 1972 graduate of Morehouse College. A successful attorney and former judge, Gordon Joyner has held various government positions of leadership at the local, state, and federal levels, including presidential appointments in both the Carter and Reagan administrations. He also has worked for 5 Georgia governors, 2 Atlanta mayors, and the citizens of Fulton County, Georgia. In fact, Joyner served a record tenure as executive director of the Georgia Commission on Equal Opportunity under 3 successive governors, both Democrat and Republican, and fought to enforce laws against housing and employment discrimination. A native of Fort Valley, Georgia, Joyner grew up on a farm and learned early on the mandates of effective leadership. As a 16-year-old, 11th grade student, he initiated the civil rights movement in Fort Valley, which led to the integration of the public school system in that city. And after graduating as the valedictorian of his high school, Joyner entered Morehouse College, where he majored in economics and political science and minored in English and Spanish. Joyner graduated summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa, and salutatorian, the second highest ranking in his class. And after graduating from Harvard Law School, Gordon became an associate in what is now Atlanta's prestigious firm Kilpatrick, Townsend, and Stockton, before relocating to Washington, D.C. to serve as assistant director for the American Bar Association. Tomorrow evening, Gordon Joyner will be honored with the 2021 Benny Achievement Award. Our second honoree is Dr. Robert Gore, a member of the Morehouse class of 1998, an activist and emergency medical physician based in Brooklyn, New York. Dr. Gore is working on the front line of healthcare to both heal our communities and end violence in his hometown of Brooklyn, New York. He founded CAVI, the Kings Against Violence Initiative, a nonprofit violence intervention, prevention, and empowerment program that assists victims in hospitals and supports more than 250 at-risk students in schools and this community. For close to 20 years in both his personal life and professional career, Dr. Gore has explored and continues to develop programming and solutions focused on healing community violence and other disparities affecting urban and global health. In recognition of his dedication and service, Gore was selected as one of the 2018 CNN Heroes, alongside other humanitarians from around the world. Dr. Gore is an attending physician and clinical assistant professor at Kings County Hospital, SUNY Downstate Department of Emergency Medicine in Brooklyn, New York. He is the co-chair of the Health Tech and Innovation Division at SUNY Downstate Kings County Department of Emergency Medicine, which focuses on improving community health equity through tech and design. Growing up in Brooklyn and returning to the neighborhood he grew up in to practice emergency medicine has given Dr. Gore a unique perspective on health and wellness, and his story embodies the true definition of coming full circle. Tomorrow evening, Dr. Robert Gore will be honored with the 2021 Benny Service Award. Our third honoree is the Reverend Dr. and now Senator Raphael G. Warnock, who made history in January by becoming one of the newest members of the 117th Congress and becoming the first black senator of Georgia. Senator Warnock graduated from Morehouse College cum laude in 1991, receiving a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology. He also holds a Master of Divinity degree from Union Theological Seminary in New York City, where he graduated with honors and distinctions. Reverend Warnock continued his graduate studies at Union, receiving a Master of Philosophy degree and a Doctor of Philosophy degree in the field of systematic theology. In 2005, the Reverend Dr. Warnock was called to serve as senior pastor of the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, spiritual home of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As an opinion and thought leader, Warnock's perspective is sought out by national and international audiences. He's been covered on CBS Evening News, Huffington Post, and CNN. Tomorrow evening, U.S. Senator Raphael G. Warnock will be presented with the 2021 Benny Trailblazer Award. Our fourth honoree is Kenneth C. Frazier, Chairman, President, and Chief Executive Officer of Merck & Company, Under Fraser's leadership, Merck is delivering innovative, life-saving medicines and vaccines, as well as adding long-term and sustainable value to its stakeholders. Kenneth Fraser received his bachelor's degree from the Pennsylvania State University and holds a Juris Doctor degree from Harvard Law School. Fraser joined Merck & Company in 1992 as general counsel and has held positions of increasing responsibility until ascending to the presidency. Prior to joining Merck, he was a partner with the Philadelphia law firm of Drinker, Biddle, and Reith. Fraser's contributions, particularly in the legal, business, and humanitarian fields, have also been widely recognized. He sits on a variety of boards, including Pharma, Weill Cornell Medicine, and Exxon Mobil Corporation. And after more than 30 years at Merck & Company, Mr. Fraser has been a leader, helping to save lives through innovation and technology. Tomorrow evening, Kenneth Fraser will be presented the 2021 Candle Award in Law and Innovation. Our fifth honoree is Darren Walker, who is president of the Ford Foundation, a $14 billion international social justice philanthropic organization. Under Walker's leadership, the Ford Foundation became the first nonprofit in the United States history to issue a $1 billion designated social bond in American capital markets for proceeds to strengthen and stabilize nonprofit organizations in the wake of COVID-19. And before joining Ford, Walker was vice president at the Rockefeller Foundation, where he oversaw global and domestic programs. Educated exclusively in public schools, Walker was a member of the first Head Start class in 1965 and received his Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, and Juris Doctor degrees from the University of Texas at Austin. He has been included on numerous leadership lists, including Time Magazine's annual 100 Most Influential People, Rolling Stone's 25 People Shaping the Future, Ebony's Power 100, and the Wall Street Journal's 2020 Philanthropy Innovator. Tomorrow evening, Darren Walker will receive the 2021 Candle Award in Education and Philanthropy. The sixth and final honoree is Byron Allen, who is founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of the Allen Media Group Entertainment Studios. This stand-up comic turned media mogul now owns one of the largest cable network portfolios in the industry, featuring 10 24-hour high-definition television networks, including The Weather Channel, Comedy.tv, Cars.tv, ES.tv, JusticeCentral.tv, and The Weather Channel en Espanol. The company produces and distributes Emmy Award-winning and nominated shows while also advertising for more than 67 broadcast and cable television programs. And Entertainment Studios has one of the largest libraries of family and advertiser-friendly lifestyle content in the world. Further distinguishing Entertainment Studios is its status as the first African-American owned multi-platform media studio producing and distributing wide release motion pictures and content for all platforms. Tomorrow evening, Byron Allen will receive the 2021 Candle Award in Business, Arts, and Entertainment. Gentlemen, good afternoon. It's such a pleasure to celebrate your achievements today. I would like to begin by asking each of you a few questions to help our audience gain a better perspective about your journey. My first question is, what person or event had the greatest impact on your life and why?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Frederica. It's great to be here with you, and I'm deeply honored by this award from my beloved Morehouse College. Let me just tell you that the person who actually had the greatest impact on me, other than my parents, is Morehouse's greatest alumnus, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I was born a year after Dr. King's death. He was assassinated, of course, in 1968. I was born in 1969, but in a real sense, the spirit of Dr. King, his moral witness, absolutely recruited me to Morehouse College. I was just enamored of him and inspired by him as a young person growing up. I was a part of that generation of young people who, prior to the creation of the federal holiday, there were parents all across the country and in my hometown of Savannah, Georgia, who would pull their kids out of school around January 15th. And we spent all day, in my case, in the May Street YMCA learning about Martin Luther King Jr. And I was just inspired. He was an example for me of someone who used his Christian voice and his Christian convictions to effectuate change in the public square, to inspire people to create what he called the beloved community. And I just wanted to go where Dr. King went. I remember reading in high school that he read H.D. Thoreau's essay on civil disobedience while he was a student at Morehouse. And it got me interested in this place called Morehouse College. I didn't know a lot about it. I'm the first college graduate in my family. I'm number 11 out of 12. And then spending 4 years on the campus of Morehouse College, going back and forth to class under the prominent shadow of Dr. King's statue, pointing with a kind of resolute conviction and with the words on the base of that statue, it inspired me and caused me to want to put head and heart together to make an impact on the world. And so he influences me to this day. I just wanted to attend his school. And by God's grace, I became the pastor of his church. And here I am now serving as a United States Senator. It's a continuation of my lifelong commitment to serve. And it's inspired by Dr. King, who said that life's most pressing question is, what are you doing for others?
Thank you, Frederica. I've been fortunate in my life to have a number of people who are important role models. I would say from a distance, I modeled my life after Thurgood Marshall, who was a great civil rights advocate and encouraged me to become a lawyer. But the most important person in my life was my father. My father was born in the year 1900. He had 3 years of what passed for an education for a black child growing up in South Carolina. But he was one of the most dignified human beings I ever knew. And he gave me a sense of my own importance in life and how to act and how to behave and believe in myself.
I would probably say my cousin Jason. My parents definitely had a major impact, but my cousin Jason Curry, who was Morehouse class of 1992, had probably the biggest impact. He's 6 years older than me, and everything he did, I wound up doing. He ran track, I ran track. He played football. I made attempts at playing football. I wasn't really good at it. He went to Morehouse College. I also followed in his footsteps. And there was a special kind of love, but it was also, there was a special grit and this tenacity and this level of focus that I didn't see in a lot of people. And so I always wanted to be just like him.
Frederica, it's great to see you again. And thank you for that awesome starting question, because I am very proud to be a country boy from Fort Valley, Peach County, Georgia, growing up in the civil rights movement all around us. And the persona that led us was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in his leadership of the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King was the person. He was the motivator. He was the inspirer. And as a result of that, when the time came for me to pick my college, as many of my friends and classmates and my family members certainly, I turned down a full scholarship to Yale University to accept a half tuition scholarship to my college for one singular reason: because Martin Luther King Jr. went to Morehouse College.
The person who has had the greatest impact on my life is my mother, because she, like many Black women in this country, has believed in the American dream in spite of the fact that the dream didn't believe in her, that America didn't indeed support her to achieve her dreams. But like many Black mothers in this country, she had dreams for her boy and her girls. And those dreams she invested in making real. And while in her life, she was not able to have the dream of a college education, the dream of ever really owning a home until I could buy one for her, she today is a testament to fortitude, faith, and family. So my mother is my hero.
The person that's had the greatest impact on me, besides my mother and father, would have to be Martin Luther King Jr. He, by far, has, led the way, the great prophet. And I had purchased the rights to Coretta Scott King's story. I wanted to look at Martin Luther King through her eyes. And I was shooting a movie back there, and I kept calling her. And she was so sweet, Coretta Scott King, and she kept taking my calls. And she said, honey, you keep calling, you must really want this story. I said, yes, I do, ma'am. And I really wanted to look at Martin through her eyes. And I learned so much talking to her, and learned so much about him and how he impacted the world in such a positive way, in a profound way. And I'll never forget what she said to me. She said, Byron, as Black people, we have 4 major challenges. Number 1, end slavery. Number 2, end Jim Crow. And to me personally, I think Jim Crow was far more damaging than slavery, because as slaves, we were considered an asset and we were somewhat protected. But the moment we were freed, we became, in their minds, a liability. And then that's when they started murdering us and lynching us and incarcerating us. And then she said, number 3, achieve civil rights. And she said, number 4, and she choked up, and you could really feel her choking up. She said, number 4, the real reason they killed my Martin, achieve economic inclusion. She said, Byron, they didn't kill Martin over the speech, I Have a Dream. They killed him over the speech, The Other America. That's the speech. There are 2 Americas. One America has access to opportunity, capital, education. The other America does not. 2 Americas will not survive. We must achieve one America. And that conversation changed my life. Just talking to Martin Luther King's widow about the 4th and final chapter. And I remember saying to her, wow, you and Martin have done more than enough. We, this generation, will deal with the 4th and final chapter, economic inclusion.
My second question is, what advice would your present day self give your college day self?
That's a great question. I think, first of all, and this may sound somewhat trite, I would say believe in yourself. By that I mean, never allow yourself to be limited by what other people think you can and cannot do. And especially, don't accept other people's prejudices on yourself. Recognize that you have incredible talent, and no matter what other people say, it is your job to exercise that talent for the good of yourself and others. Finally, I would always say, with respect to taking a job after college, take a job that you'd want to take even if you didn't need any money, a job that you would do for fun, because when it's fun, it doesn't feel like work.
My present day self would say, bring everything that you have into the room. Do not feel that you need to leave your Blackness, any dimension of your identity, outside of the door before you go in for that interview, for that presentation, because ultimately it is authenticity that will be the most important measure of your success.
And my advice to my college self would be, make sure you absorb every single minute. As Dr. Mays advised all men of Morehouse and all Morehouse men, all students and all graduates, absorb every single minute of the richness of Mother Morehouse putting her arms around us every day and exposing us to the very best minds, the highest intellects of our incredible professors. We had a gold mine, as still is the case as Morehouse, and has always been the case through the decades. We have a gold mine of professors at Morehouse College who teach us everything that we need to know intellectually and academically. But the value and the benefit of Morehouse and of all HBCUs is that the professors care about us personally. They reach out to us. So many professors would invite groups of students to their house for dinner and discussions of the issues of the day. That had a huge impact on our mental and intellectual development, our matriculation from being teenagers to being young men. And I'll close with this. I went to Harvard Law School and matriculated with students at Harvard College and Harvard graduate schools. But the very best discussions and debates that I ever heard and that I ever experienced were not on the campus of Harvard University. They were on the campus of Morehouse College, dear old Morehouse, where from my freshman year through my senior year, the best discussions and the best debates took place on the steps of Sale Hall, on the steps of Robert Hall, on the steps of Gray's, on the steps of Quarles Court, and in the cafeteria. Those are the discussions, those are the debates which imbued me and all students at Morehouse and girded us with the fortitude and the self-confidence to succeed throughout our lifetimes when we left the campus and the warm embrace of Mother Morehouse.
You know, read more, party less. You can't read enough. You can't know enough. I would say pursue excellence because you have it in you. Don't pull back. Pursue it every day like a champion because you are one. Pursue it every day. It's not enough to just be successful. You want to be the best that ever lived. You want to go for GOAT. Just go for it. Greatest of all times. The greatest of all times. I love what I do. I haven't had a job since I quit my paper route 50 years ago when I was 10 years old. I get up every day and I cannot wait to play the game of business. The only way I could start something from my dining room table with nothing more than a phone and grow it to one of the largest privately held media companies in the world, including owning 10 networks and the Weather Channel and ABC and NBC and CBS and Fox affiliates around the country and streaming platforms like Local Now and The Griot and what have you. The only way I can do that is if I love what I do and I pursue it every day, like I want to be the greatest of all time. Find that passion and just strap yourself in and focus on it like a laser and don't let up, because it's in you. If you're alive and you're above ground, you're positioned to achieve excellence. If you're in a college like Morehouse, you are very well positioned to achieve excellence. Don't take your foot off the gas. Press it. Make it the priority. Press it. And if you can and if you want, continue your education. Your education is a key. That's so key. Education, education, education. We don't have enough, as America, period, we don't have enough intellectual capital to really compete. And we need every American positioned to succeed to bring their A game. And we need especially every Black American positioned to get an education. And I believe everybody should have access to a great education for free, because that's just a matter of national security. So just know that you're positioned for success. If you can, keep getting those degrees, furthering your education, and pursue that excellence, and know you can do it. I can assure you, you can do it. You can do things to make me look like an amateur, and I'm here to help you do it.
Well, believe it or not, I think I would tell my my younger self to work a little harder. That's not surprising. But believe it or not, I think I'd tell my younger self to relax a little bit and have a little bit more fun. I was a very serious young man. I certainly had a sense of humor, and I liked to laugh and that kind of thing. But I think as I grew older, you come more into yourself and learn how to integrate all the parts of who you are into a whole. And as I think about just how fast life goes by and how quickly it all just runs by, I think I would tell myself, even as you work hard, work even harder. But maybe find a little time to play harder too, and see a bit of the world, take it all in, and because all of that, as you drink from the fountain of life and its experiences, I think all of that makes you a more rounded human being. And in my case, I think it actually makes you a better preacher. And so I'd say to young Raphael, if I could talk to him, you're doing all right, but just take it all in, because it goes by very fast.
Thank you so much for that advice to our future leaders in this audience. My next question: how did the events of 2020 impact your leadership philosophy?
Thanks, Ms. Whitfield. Excellent question. I have this conversation with my dad all the time about, how do turns of events impact and influence your leadership and influence what you're doing. 2020 hasn't changed what I'm doing at all. I've dedicated my life to improving the quality of life and improving the health equity of people from marginalized communities. 2020 just accentuated that. It made me want to continue to do this stuff even more, but with a different type of intensity, and realizing that I might not always have tomorrow. So I have to seize these moments today. But I'm still just as focused, and I'll continue to create opportunities for other young people so that I can pass that torch, such that the work that we're doing right now with marginalized spaces will continue well after I'm gone.
Frederica, it made me see even more that I had a personal responsibility to speak up and to speak out against inequity and injustice. In our country, there's so much potential, but those of us who've been given privileges have to use our positions of influence and responsibility to ensure that our country lives up to its stated creeds.
Wow. There's no question that all of us years from now will remember 2020. It is a year that brought into sharp focus issues really that we've been wrestling with for a long time. But this COVID-19 virus, which in many ways defines this moment, has been tragic. As I speak now, over 400,000 Americans have lost their lives. That's a lot of empty chairs at Thanksgiving and at Christmas, birthdays, graduations. People have lost lives and they've lost loved ones and they've lost livelihoods. And so it's taught us many things. I think it reminds us that crises are an opportunity for leadership to emerge. And in this moment, I've just tried to be faithful and true. You know, as tragic as this virus is, it's taught us some important lessons, I think. For example, I think we should have known long before this moment that we need everybody in this nation to have access to affordable health care, that the richest nation in the world can and ought to provide for all of its citizens affordable health care. But all of a sudden now we're dealing with a deadly airborne disease. My neighbor coughs, she may be sick, but I am potentially imperiled by my neighbor's cough. That doesn't make my neighbor my enemy. It just reminds me that my neighbor and I, as Dr. King used to say, are tied in a single garment of destiny, caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. In this case, my neighbor may be uncovered, but I'm unprotected. And so out of a sense of what's right, but also out of a sense of enlightened self-interest, I need my neighbor to have health care coverage. But I also need her children to have access to a good quality education. I need my neighbor to be able to work and enjoy a dignified life because they're paid a livable wage and that they can retire with dignity. We are all in this thing together. At the end of the day, we really are all we've got. And when I say we, I mean we in the largest sense of the term. We're connected. We're inextricably bound. And so those moral lessons embodied in the ministry of Dr. King and so many others, I think, have come into sharp focus. And I'm so honored that in the midst of this challenge, in which we're dealing with these two viruses that have emerged in a particular way of late, COVID-19, but also what I call COVID-16-19, America's ongoing struggle with race and racism. I'm so honored that in the midst of this, that I've been able to step up and serve in a new way as a United States Senator from the state of Georgia, the first Black United States Senator in this state. And the fact that I'm able now to take my years of activism and agitation translated into legislation, my protest in the public policy is a high honor in my life. And I'm just deeply hopeful about the things that we can do together, even in this dark and difficult moment.
Thank you, Frederica. I think the question of leadership and my own philosophy in the wake of the murders that occurred in 2020 is that as a leader, I must acknowledge that we live in a system that is imbued with white supremacy. And as difficult as that is often for our white brothers and sisters to hear, my responsibility as a leader is to be a truth teller and to be a bridge builder and to build bridges with people who want to overcome the history of white supremacy in this country. That's my charge as a leader. That is what I must be accountable for.
2020, in every way, was quite a year. A challenge for everybody in the world. The change in national leadership carried us into a much more hopeful state for 2021. As everybody knows, we in Georgia did our part. We turned out to vote in record numbers. We elected 2 outstanding new senators from the state of Georgia, one of whom is also being honored at this gala and certainly deserves it. We as voters and as citizens can't stop there though. All the results of our turning out to vote taught us is that we must continue to do it in every election, that we must be engaged in our government at every level, from local to state to national. Morehouse has a great legacy and a great heritage and a great tradition of its graduates going into public service. Just think about it. Knowing the civil rights history of the state of Alabama, that as we are celebrating Morehouse College and its graduates and its friends and supporters at this gala, that the mayor of Birmingham, Alabama, and the mayor of Montgomery, Alabama, are Morehouse graduates. That says it all.
Our final question. HBCUs have made significant contributions to the fabric of this nation. From your vantage point, how do you define the value of an HBCU education?
Historically Black colleges and universities are in large part the reason we see today successful Black people. It was these institutions that provided the pathways for leadership, for professional development, for networks, and for entrees onto the mobility escalator. It is these colleges and universities that develop most of the engineers, the science majors, the STEM community. Historically Black colleges and universities have played an essential role in America's success. Indeed, America cannot be successful if historically Black colleges and universities are not successful. These institutions define America. They are a source of pride for millions of Black people. And the challenge is these institutions have never not delivered for America. The question for the future is, will America deliver? And will American philanthropists, will American government deliver to support the long-term resilience, durability, and vibrancy of these important American treasures?
This is an exciting moment, finally. It's an exciting moment to be a graduate of an HBCU. Think about this historic American moment in which we've been dealing with COVID-19. We have seen 4 long, dark years in which there's been a reemergence of a kind of unabashed and unashamed bigotry, white supremacy, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, and then an attack on our very systems of democracy. And into this moment, emerges the first Black woman, Asian woman, first woman vice president, Kamala Harris, graduate of Howard University, who swore in the first Black United States Senator, graduate of Morehouse College. The groundwork for much of that here in Georgia, led by my good friend and co-conspirator, Stacey Abrams, graduate of Spelman College, right here in the city of Atlanta, led by Keisha Lance Bottoms, a graduate of Florida A&M University, FAMU. Black colleges have been doing the work, and I'm inspired. I'm proud to be an HBCU graduate, and I'm committed to making sure that the best of that legacy lives on.
The HBCUs, Morehouse College, has helped make me who I am today. I shouldn't say it made me who I am today. It created the space that allowed who I was and who I am to be cultivated. That doesn't happen at every institution. My friends from Howard, my friends who went to Fisk, my friends who went to Hampton, my friends who went to Lincoln University, it's always a very similar kind of feel when we talk back and think about our beloved institutions from a nostalgic point of view, but really making sure that we had a space, and every day we were on campus, we were in a position to recognize that there was excellence all around us. When I speak to some of my friends who went to majority institutions, and I tell them, all my classmates were encouraging at Morehouse and Spelman and Clark Atlanta and Morris Brown. I said, every last one of them, I don't remember being discouraged by any one of them. And they look at me like, are you serious? That's what our life was like. And so think about what your life can be like when you're in a place that you are constantly supported and encouraged and loved. People want to see you do well. They want to see you excel, but they also want to see you contribute to the legacy that bore those institutions. So that's what Morehouse meant to me. That's what the AUC meant and still means to me. And this is why I'll continue to encourage any student who's willing and able and interested in coming to our institutions to go.
Today, I think there are probably more people throughout this country and throughout the world who have a heightened level of awareness and understanding and appreciation of the unique place that HBCUs hold in the rich fabric of this country. HBCUs have taught all how to do the most with the least. And even though that is our heritage, that does not have to be our future. And that is one of the great benefits of such an event as this gala, of recognition, of achievement and service and success represents. We all must support our HBCUs. We've already lost several. Hopefully they can be revived and resurrected, but we cannot afford to lose any more. One of the greatest parts of my experience at Morehouse College was that there was a vibrant Morris Brown College down the street, along with the vibrant Spelman College, then Clark College, now Clark Atlanta University, then Atlanta University, and now Clark Atlanta University, and the Interdenominational Theological Center. All were vibrant with large, active, energized student bodies. That's the way it should be. That makes for a better college experience for all of us in the Atlanta University Center. And the same certainly applies for the students of Howard University, Hampton University, Tuskegee University, Fisk University, and all of the other HBCUs across the country.
The importance of HBCUs is quite critical in our community. They've been a source for many, many decades of lifting people up and expanding the possibilities for people. I think if we look at the number of professionals and people of responsibility, including Senator Warnock from your own Morehouse College, we will see that these colleges have played a pivotal role in advancing the cause of Black Americans. And finally, I have to say, of the many regrets I have, high on that list is that I cannot claim the title Morehouse Man.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing your insights with this audience today. And a special thanks to all of you who joined us virtually for this amazing experience. This now concludes our Reflections of Excellence program. It's been my great pleasure to join you for this historic weekend. Please plan to join us tomorrow evening for the virtual presentation of the 33rd annual A Candle in the Dark Gala, featuring the 2021 Benny and Candle Awards ceremony. For more information about the gala and the remaining Founders Day activities, please visit founders.morehouse.edu.